So they have a game I recently played with a 86.5% accuracy, I believe. Played pretty good, and let's get into it. I go d4, they go f5. Personally, I love playing against f5. I feel as if though it's not the best response. I have 52% win rate playing. It's called the Dutch defense in this variation, but this is a London setup. Maybe bishop f4 is not the best move, but nonetheless, bishop pawn f5 I feel is not the best response, just because the king, it's a little weak because of that. Obviously, a grandmaster master, just in terms of the weaknesses it does create. If you don't know what you're doing, it's easy to mess up. They go e6 though. I go e3. They go knight to f6. I go pawn to h3, which is not the best move. It is the second best move though. The reason it's good at all is to stop knight to h5 eventually, because you want to go knight to f3. But if you went knight to f3, they can go knight to h5 in response. Although bishop e2 was just as good, or even better. I mean, they go bishop e7. I go knight to f3 when c4 is better. Pawn to b6, bishop to d3, and bishop to b7. Now look at this position. I really liked my position, just because I had this nice square on g5. I have a knight jump to e5. My castle, there's no immediate attack, and it's gonna be hard for them to break in the center because of the way it's set up. There's no e5 push, which you want to do in this type of position. They can go d5, but not being able to go e5 because I clamped the square 3 times was a very good feeling. And after I go knight here to b to d2, the knight's protected, so even if they did try to remove an attacker of that square, I replace it with another one. So they castle. I go pawn to c3, although a3 is better. I think I go a4 eventually. They go d6, I castle, which is not even the best move when I should have just went rook to g1. Really? That's interesting. Okay, let's see. We can show that. Rook g1 is actually just the best move, and just go for a kingside attack, maybe. But I didn't even think about that. I want to get my king safe. However, they go knight to e4. I go queen to c2. Pawn to d5. Now this is where I was like, maybe I've been a little bit overzealous, overconfident in my position, because they have a really nice setup. Now, it is a weakness on e6, but I play the same thing myself. There's a line in the Petrov where you kind of end up with something similar, and it actually is pretty good. It's kind of strong. The knight is stuck in the middle of the board. I can't remove it unless I move my knight and go f3, and I don't have a whole lot of attacks. The I go knight into e5 is just kind of a natural square. a4 is the next best move, but knight e5 it was more natural for me. If they want to go h6, I can go knight into g6, and you just want to control, poke as many holes as you can. And it also is a outpost, I believe it would be. Yeah, because there's no pawn that can kick it out, so it's stuck there as long as I want. They go knight to d7. It's similar to the idea. If they would have took the knight on f3, I could retake with a knight. I go knight to f3 to protect it, although taking it was better. It is still the second best move. They capture, I capture with the knight, cementing it, and they go bishop here to f6, preparing to capture back. I go a4, which is the second best move, although b4 is better. I'll say that naturally, or usually, for me at least when I'm playing, b4 is less obvious, just because it creates a backwards pawn, as I mentioned. And there are situations where it's good, because the black's backwards pawn is not really an issue. Like I said, I'm +1, but I don't think I won because of that specifically. So I want to try and avoid that. And then a4 to me seems like pretty natural to go a5 following that, and still keeping the base of my pawn chain. So I go a4. They go bishop. They take the knight, which is an accuracy. I didn't feel like an accuracy. I'm not the computer, obviously. It does give me the bishop pair, which may be the huge issue. And the other issue may be that I'm just staring so... There's no way they can kick the bishop out. I'm attacking the king side, but I don't think... I guess I'm +1.4. I'm just not good enough to see why it's such a huge advantage. However, it is. They go queen to e7. I go queen here to e2. They drop their knight back, and I go pawn to a5. As I mentioned earlier, that was a pretty straightforward plan to me, and it does end up being the best move here. The reason it's so good to push your pawn this far off the board is you want to ruin their pawn structure, and you want to attack their weak queen side. And saying weak is maybe an exaggeration, but it is. Between the two sides for now, it is the weaker one. I take the pawn, they take, and I go rook here to a7. Best move. You want to pressure the 7th rank as much as you can. They go c5, which is good, but I actually thought, yeah, it is pretty bad. I know you can't see the eval bar, but it changes by 0.6 about in my favor. And the reason I feel it's so bad is it just completely opens up the rook's ability on the 7th rank, because now the queen is pinned. So I could do dxc5, although bishop d3 was better. I did this first to not let them go c5 immediately, but I realize now how dumb that was, because it doesn't matter, because dxc5, bxc5, if they were able to push c5, they still could after this trade. So it was a really bad thought process. However, that's what I was thinking. If I go bishop to a6, they go rook over, which is a mistake. It was best to just take here and do queen captures a6 and just have a bad position. This is still bad. I don't know why they didn't do this, honestly. I pre-move taking back, but now I'll take the rook. They take, we trade everything down, and I have a rook for a knight, but we have equal pawns. So how do I convert this endgame? I go rook here to a1, which isn't an accuracy, but I would probably play these inaccuracies again, because for me at least, this is just the easiest way to convert, and it works out because it's still plus on the eval bar, so I didn't choose a losing option. And I think just for people who are non-masters, like most of you watching this video are probably closer to me than, or around me, and I think we should pick conversions in which we know we can do. Now the best move is obviously better, but if you can't find the best move continuously by playing c4, like why is that? That is better. I can't explain it. I can explain why attacking the 6th rank makes sense. Attacking this weakness, inducing them to protect it, and then maybe going king over or g3 or looking to it. It just is easier plans to me. They go knight e4, I take the free pawn. They go queen here, I go rook back here to a6, controlling this a file. They go queen back over, I go pawn to g3. Now this is a move I'm surprised it's not more than an accuracy. I thought it was a mistake. I didn't know what else to do. I was like, well, maybe I can just control that 4 square a little more. Not that it's a huge square in the position, but I didn't know what to do for this specific move. And once they went c4, plans became clear. I go rook back to a1. I slide my rook over, and I want to cement it here on d4 to eventually break through on d5. They go knight here, which makes it a lot easier. I take the pawn. They go queen here to c6. I go rook here to d4. And I decide to take the knight for the pawn, as I didn't have to do this. Oh, it is the best move. The reason, okay, I'll explain it then, because I thought that was kind of a personal preference. The reason it's so good is there are no weaknesses now. With the knight, there's always a chance you blunder a fork, but being on 3 pawns and 2 passed, it's almost impossible. Even with this open light square diagonal, I get my pawns far up the board, where now when they go for it, actually I lose on time here. But if they went queen back to a8, I can just go c6, and then I have queen to d7. Like, it's just very hard to stop being a 3 pawns in an endgame. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy, and have a good one.